800 million people living in the ruin of the old world. Only one thing fighting for order in the chaos. The men and women of the Hall of Justice.
Peachtree's is the manufacturing base for all the slow-mo in Mega City 1.
You know how often we get a judge up in Peachtree's?
Well, you got one now.
We can fight our desires.
Well, they took that Judge Dredd helmet, put some Gorilla Glue on it, and slapped it on Carl Urban's head and said, you are not taking that shit off. We ain't not going to fuck up like we did with Sylvester Stallone. Because that's what people were complaining about.
That was one of many.
That was one of many complaints.
I think the problem is once the helmet came off of Stallone, it was like, oh, they hired an actor with cerebral palsy. That's great. Why is he talking out of the side of his mouth the whole time?
Yeah, no, that helmet gave his ass a heat stroke.
He had that shit on too tight.
I like what they did here, man. I like what they did here. See, that's what you do.
Yeah.
You take something. Hollywood is crazy about remakes. This is how you do it, Hollywood. You take something shitty and you make it new, and you do it well.
Well, you know what?
You make it less shitty.
You make it less shitty, and you get it the fuck out of Hollywood. That's the thing. I mean, this wasn't.
I mean, and that's exactly right, because
Yeah.
the original feels like this kind of clumsily constructed vehicle for a movie star, for Stallone, whereas in this one, it's just an actor who really loves a character and is doing everything he can to kind of serve the role. It's like it works in the opposite direction.
Yeah, and watching the movie, I've been a huge fan of Judge Dredd, and reading all those comics. I mean, watching this film, I'm like, okay, this is once again some filmmakers that actually gave a shit about the property, painstakingly, got those characters just like they are in the comics, but, set in the real world, not so much that where you forget who these characters are, but, I mean, you bring an extra, dose of violence to it, to where it's like, okay, you know what? I'm fucking all aboard. This Judge Dredd doesn't give a fuck. He's who he's supposed to be, the biggest fucking cop dickhead ever. And I love that. I love that.
And you were saying that this wasn't produced in Hollywood.
No, it was not produced in Hollywood. The production, actually, I read, started like in 2006. And it was the writer. The writer's the guy who worked with the guy from 28 Days Later, Danny Boyle.
Alex Garland.
Alex Garland, yeah.
He wrote Sunshine 28 Days Later.
Yeah,
he wrote something else I actually talk about in a minute. But
yeah, he actually wrote this right after Sunshine, but he's been writing this movie forever. I mean, the original script had the dark judges involved, but they were like, okay, that's too much to throw at people right now.
How much money do you think we got?
Yeah, let's get back to the basics of what Judge Dredd is to reintroduce him to people.
A mean motherfucker.
Yeah, like you said, the biggest asshole cop ever. Leon, you think you hate cops now? Wait till Judge Dredd pulls your ass over.
He's a fascist with a badge and a mean streak.
See, I think they're being smart about this. Judge Dredd, as you said, co-host, you're a big fan of this British comic. Judge Dredd is huge.
Which explains the misspelling of the word dread, which is adorable.
Yeah, those British, they spell all kind of shit funny,
It's not called aluminium, guys. It's just aluminum, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, it's huge over in Britain. But it's funny because Judge Dredd is set in like a huge dystopian future of New York, and almost every other major American city just gone to shit now.
Which is called, they call that city Mega City 1.
And that's why everyone lives in mega blocks. And I was like, shit, I played with those as a kid.
You say Mega City, it should be called Mega Shitty. Because it's just one big block of District 9, man.
It is.
That's all it is. It's District 9. Yeah, the aliens are just, this is so shitty. We moved out. You can just take this shit.
I'll take the cursed earth if it's all the same to anybody else.
Yeah. They say it's a melting pot.
I'll put a casino out there.
But when was the comic? It was
2000 AD.
It was a magazine, which is still being produced today. 2000 AD. It's like a bunch of stories, and every one of them is guaranteed to have Judge Dredd, because they say, well, fuck these other stories. Dredd sells money.
Yeah.
He sells comics. He makes money. But Judge Dredd, it goes all the way back to like 76, 75, 70.
Sure. You're close. Yeah.
70 something.
Yeah.
But over here, nobody gives a shit really about Judge Dredd.
No, not at all.
Unless you're a big comic book fan.
Yeah, unless you're a hardcore comic book fan. I mean, if anybody into comic books, if you don't hear the name Judge Dredd, when you're talking to comic book guys, then more than likely those guys don't know the good shit to read. But I mean, over there, Judge Dredd to them is like our Batman over here.
Yeah, it is
huge. Yeah.
So what they've done here is. See, you're right, Brian. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, Brian Salisbury on the mic.
Once again, I guess white boy.
Yes.
Cyrus 2.0.
Substitute Cyrus.
Yeah, I'm feeling white guy right here.
I have a quota to fulfill.
That's going to be a point where we'd be like, Cyrus. Who was?
Oh,
man.
you just made everyone in the comment section hate my
They love you. Well, maybe half the people. The one,
I'll take half.
the one that feels like we're becoming too urban. But
When they start going fuck Brian, then you made it.
yeah. But what they done is, Ryan, you were so right, man, is the first movie, what they had to do to bring Dredd over here is that they had to make it a vehicle for Sylvester Stallone, which Sylvester Stallone said, I don't give a fuck. You got to see my face at some point.
He said, I am the law.
It's my understanding that he didn't want to take the helmet off, but they were the ones like, look, we paid to show your face. Take the fucking helmet off.
Ah, okay. So well, either way it goes, a vehicle for a star. So
Yeah.
But it was still like, we need to put Stallone in something. What do we got?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much
Yeah,
the
I mean,
genesis
yeah,
of the
I
original.
got this comic book right here.
Yeah.
But you know what? Let me, and Mr. Stallone, I'm sorry, so if I got that wrong. You were trying to be true to the shit right here. But what they've done with this new Dredd is that they said, okay, you know something? This is a property that's not huge in America. We can afford to cast somebody and not actually have them take their helmet off. So they get Carl Urban to play Dredd, who Carl Urban, look, we all know Carl Urban. Most people but Bones from Star Trek is where he really hit it big. But
Well, actually, Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is where he like made his. You know, he pretty much made a name for himself with that too.
Are you sure it's not Pathfinder like Leon said?
I know, right? Pathfinder.
Oh, yeah, everyone's
I never
favorite
saw that movie.
Pathfinder.
Oh, no. Lord of the Rings. Doom. That's where everybody knows him from.
Doom is where I try to forget him.
I think that was almost his career after that movie.
His career was Doom.
But Carl Urban has come into his own. If you don't know his name, at least you know his face now. But they said he's a guy where he's still kind of a character actor. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this property here. You don't have to really know about it. You don't even have to worry about this guy leaving his helmet on. We're going to make this a combination of RoboCop and Die Hard, maybe a little bit of District 9 in there. And
Are you really going to skip the raid? Because that's all this movie is.
I was about to mention the raid.
It is
I was going to say
like,
the
like,
biggest.
like from the trailer, I was like, this looks like the raid. It's like, but it probably won't be. And I'm watching it, and it's like, no, it's the raid. Just slow it down.
It's earned a lot of comparisons to the raid, and that's only because it looks exactly like the raid.
And there is no way that they weren't working on this and took a break and went to see the raid and went, fuck!
I know, because I know that they've been working on this while the raid was going on.
See, I believe
So you're like,
that, Leon, more than I believe they're like, oh, the raid? Let's do that.
No. I know. I don't think they copied. They tried to copy it, but it's one of those where like, man, these guys beat you to the punch, and they knew how to put more impact in it.
I think one of the producers saw the raid, came back, kicked the door open to the writer's room, and said, "Start over."
And they went, no.
We're wrapped.
We just put the credits
Yeah,
on.
I know.
But you know what?
And that's a wrap.
But I tell you though, I mean, it's whether you buy that this is a coincidence or whether they were influenced by it, they did a smart thing by making the action the star seller of this film. I mean, you don't have to know anything about, you don't have to be a science fiction fan, you don't have to know anything about Judge Dredd. You have to go in there and say, well, I didn't get to see my actor's face that I've been wanting for a long time. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, everything you need to know about Dredd you learn in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it's just like action time.
And that's what's great about the movie. It's the simplicity of it. Once again, where I'm like, wow, Hollywood, take some notes, please. I mean, the simpler the story, I mean, the more you can get the audience in with little, you don't have to throw fucking special effects, in their face constantly. Just give them some fucking great action and give them some characters that you actually like are rooting for.
Yeah, I mean, there is that simplicity, and maybe I didn't like it as much because I'm not simple-minded like you guys.
Damn.
All right.
Let's see, should I recount again how many bad movies you love?
Let's see here. I just imagine Leon sitting there going, I am the grump.
Man, I was just like the whole first 40 minutes of that movie, it's not even dialogue, it's just exposition. It's like, hey, for all you who haven't read the comics, this is going on. Well, Dredd, this is set up. Well, this. And I was like, all right, that's all right. Let's get it going. I was like, wow, just never a point of personality or jokes that were funny or where I just like, I really wanted to like this movie. Like, I'm as big a fan of Judge Dredd as anybody. I mean, almost co-host. He's probably a little bit bigger than me. And I was like, man, better than the Stallone movie? Absolutely. Yeah. No doubt about it.
He's not wearing a cock piece in this.
But everything else, and Corey, I'm mostly surprised at you because you're the first one to jump on a script and go like, man, that script was bad. It was nothing funny about it, nothing clever.
I love it when you attack me. I love it when you attack me so I can defend myself.
I'm not attacking
this,
you.
sir, is an attack.
This is not an attack. I'm actually.
You called me simple in the last film. You called me simple-minded, and you said you talked down to me like a child. Yeah. I'm surprised at you, young man, not liking this movie.
I'm just listing the things that happen to be true. But but I was just like, the thing is, if you replace this character with Judge Dredd, and this is just any kind of tired sort of action movie like this I've seen before, and it's like The Raid, except it's just moving. There's so many beats in between. I was like, guys, if you're going to do this, step it up.
Leon, judgment is coming.
Co-host, all that, I am the law. Somebody like, I am the script writer. Well, good, arrest that guy.
We got to stop calling Leon old man Leon. We finally convinced him that he's really 80 years old now. You are grumpy.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, exactly. We pretty much talked you into it. We Stockholmed you into being elderly.
Now, this is bullshit, man, because you know, like the rest of us might be like, oh, we're Judge Dredd fans. We're just happy to see a good Judge Dredd movie. But you're the one usually can step outside and go like, yeah, but look at the movie for what it is.
Look, I don't mind a very simplistic story if, again, as I said, they know what they're doing. They've replaced the story. They replaced the story, and they've made the character piece, the centerpiece of that story, the action. They're the only time I get mad at a story that is simple, I get mad at humor that might be a little hokey or deadpan like this, is when they're not self-aware. This movie is self-aware of everything that it's doing. This movie, and plus it knows that, it says that, listen, we are a very simplistic, straightforward shoot 'em up. We don't have to give you a lot of story. The action is what you've come to see. And if they're going to do that, if they're going to make this as bloody, gory, and just a straight shoot 'em up as they're going to do, I just say, be imaginative about it. And that's how I know that they're aware of this. They've gone in and they've done very, very creative things with the violence in here. Now, granted, again, something here that's very derivative, but they've gone and said, you know what, we're going to do it. We're going to do it cool. The movie centers on Judge Dredd and his new rookie, Cassandra Anderson. Who's the girl that plays Olivia Thirlby?
Yeah.
Thirlby. That's like a cough flu or something.
Yeah. Never.
It sounds like Lil Wayne trying to say her last name.
Thirlby. Yeah, Thirlby. But he goes into this complex, and it's supposed to be like a simple drug bust in there, but it goes wrong when the head of that place, a kingpin, which is a woman named Mama, who's played by Lena Headey. Yeah. You might know from Game of Thrones. She says, "Oh shit, okay, you want to come in and fuck with me? I'm gonna put the whole building on lockdown," because what happened is they've actually got one of our henchmen, and he's gonna talk. And she's like, okay, you can't take this guy out that building and implement me, so I'm shutting this thing down. Whoever gets this guy, I guess you get a lot of money or whatever, and if you get in my way, I'm gonna fuck you up. and so that's where it comes in being like The Raid. From that point on, they do so many cool things. That what she's doing is she's putting this drug out in the street called slow-mo. And when you take it, it slows the
I thought it's called Zack Snyder.
I was going to say it's the drug Zack Snyder would make if he broke back.
Yeah, this is what goes on in Zack Snyder's mind, because it's a drug that slows down your brain by 1%, and everything moves in slow motion. Now we've seen slow motion in a whole lot of movies today. Nobody's more guilty than Zack Snyder. But
slows down your brain and your director.
Yeah, exactly. But in the movie, they use it to effect to where when people are getting shot, you see the bullets ripping through their flesh. You see people.
It switches to Max Payne.
You see people getting thrown from buildings, and you get the sense how scary it is to fall like 15 stories down. It's filmed very well. I mean, there's an artistry that they brought to the violence here. And if you want to go even further, it just moves so fast. And I'll let everybody talk. But let me just put two things here. You want to compare this to The Raid? See, you're talking about how this movie's simple. It's no more simple than The Raid was. It's about as dumb as The Raid, but you give that movie a pass because the violence is cool. Mm-hmm. And this one, I will give this movie credit for at least giving me somewhat more of a story than you saw in The Raid. And I love The Raid. I mean, in here, you say there's no character. There's a point where somebody gets killed, they at least try to give you a sense of consequence here, where The Raid was just an excuse to have people fighting. I thought that, maybe the characters in here weren't the most developed character, but if being a complete dickhead and a badass is a characteristic, then I really enjoy Judge Dredd. He's uncompromising and unforgiving and don't give a fuck, like you said, co-host.
Exactly.
Where was the part where Judge Dredd was a dickhead?
I think the part where he told the homeless guy to piss off or he's going to fucking arrest him for being homeless might qualify.
That's actually like an illegal thing, and that's his job to do that.
Well-
like there was never that point where I thought Judge Dredd stepped over the line.
Well, I mean, there's a point where I think I love the contrast that they brought in Judge Anderson. Well, at least she's the rookie Anderson right now. And the thing is, like, she played off of Judge Dredd, where Judge Dredd, he was just handing out, like, he was telling everybody what they were doing wrong. He'd give them, like, what are the consequences. And she was there usually going, she was looking at him going, wow, this guy is pretty much a hard ass. But I mean, just the first scene where he's doing that chase where this guy is like, obviously he's straight shooting fucking lawgiver. And that is it. I mean, he's blowing a fucking truck away in the middle of the street. I mean, where it sets up this world, which is what I really liked. It sets up the world and the consequences that if you don't pull your ass over, you're going to die. I mean, and I thought the first 10 minutes, I mean, they pretty much explained that, especially when he goes after his first, the criminal that we see, and the way he dispenses his justice, where he does it in a very gruesome way.
Yeah, that's the thing. Brian hit it right there when you say, the guy's a fascist. But, and he's just being a dickhead by nature of his job, just by virtue of being the best that he is at his job, means he has to be somewhat of an asshole. Brian, come in here and defend us. Tell this man something right here.
All I want to know is it too early to just hand over the Best Actor Oscar and just give it to Karl Urban? The depth and range of emotion that he showed was something akin to a fucking silverback gorilla. I mean, you have to be impressed with the amount of acting that came from his chin.
Inhabitants of Peachtrees. This is Judge Dredd.
Let him talk.
This block operates under the same rules as the rest of the city. Mama is not the law. I am the law.
But no, I think that, if you have a character like this and you're playing it and you're trying to be faithful to it, it's kind of a double standard to be like, okay, but he's being faithful to the character, and the things that we're complaining about in a lot of ways are things that we're really complaining about in the character more than in the performance. I thought it was an exceptionally entertaining action movie. I thought they did have characters, and some of the things they did differently that I liked is that there were moments where they played with expectations, where they would about the one-liners that he had in the old movie, in the 90s movie. Those one-liners were awful. They were the cheesiest, terrible puns, and I know that it's ironic that I'm complaining about that, but they were just awful. And in this movie, they set you up to think he's going to say something like that, and then he just states the obvious, like, what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for this? No, I'm waiting for her to shoot you.
Yeah, wait for it.
And it's like,
Wait for it.
Okay. And at first
it.
you're like, what? Why the fuck did they? And then it's like, because they're playing with expectation, because they know that you expect him to say something painfully clever.
Well, Rob Schneider hasn't showed him yet.
Exactly.
To teach him his comedy chops. Yeah.
And I also really like the sci-fi in this movie. It has a very specific feel to it. It feels like the way that they deal with their future is very similar to like watching an 80s post-apocalyptic movie, and the way they depict what future technology is going to look like. It's not overbearing. Everything doesn't look like an Apple store. It's just, it's very gritty, it's very dirty, and it's just utilitarian, and that's it.
Yeah,
I dug that about it.
It's the minimalist, approach that I've actually seen. We've seen like quite a few sci-fi movies recently, and I enjoy that much better. This is about the characters and the world they're set in, and if you can't believe this world just by us showing you the characters, the situation, then then we're just making another fucking popcorn Hollywood movie so you can look at pretty lights.
Yeah,
and I like that, because you know what, the look of Mega City. I mean, we've already seen in that Judge Dredd movie where they tried to outdo Blade Runner, and wow, does anybody remember that city at all? No. This, at least I can remember, because it looks like something you'd see in the future.
Well, future, some people say, shit, this is my home right now.
I know.
It's really fucked up future.
This is a big introduction into the world of Judge Dredd. I think they did that by introducing these characters, introducing the city, and especially introducing this block. I mean, where you get a sense of what this world is. And it's something that we can all digest. It's not over the top. And I love the fact that they brought in a villain that has some depth to her, where you get some background about her. You kind of you understand how fucked up her world is and the world she's living in, and how she dispenses her own brand of you don't cross me, and that type of villain makes you kind of root for Judge Dredd in a way, because she is just as bad as Judge Dredd is dispensing.
But
his
she's
justice.
also very understated. Like, she's not chewing the scenery. Like, she delivers her line with. She's very just to the point and very succinct about it. And in a lot of ways, it mirrors the way Carl Urban delivers these lines.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going way over the top with it. He's like, this is what has to be said. This is what we have to do. And in a lot of ways, you think, oh well, that means he's wooden. It's like, no, you can tell he's having a lot of fun with this.
Oh, yeah.
And you like him despite the fact that he's a fascist dickbag. Like,
Yeah, Lena Headey seems to really have. It's cool to see her as almost like this disfigured villain.
Yeah.
And you have a villain that disfigured, and they just play it cold and quiet. And I thought that was cool, man. There is a lot to criticize here.
Sure.
I don't.
Really? Because I feel like I'm the only one doing it.
Yeah, you are the
we'll
one doing it. There are a few one-liners that don't work. Like you said. Now, there's a part when Judge Dredd is going around with this rookie, and he's pretty much like talking to her like my daddy used to talk to me. What you waiting on? You gonna do your job? I was like, okay. I thought that was cool. Now he tries.
or he's like, I'm 3.
Son, you gonna shoot him in the head? I want to go home. But then when he actually gives some one-liners, I think they fall flat. And plus, I do think that there are certain parts of the movie that are very intense. That's the thing about something like The Raid Redemption. That one was that's a movie that's way more far-fetched. I felt nothing. I just wanted to watch action, and I'm fine with that. Here, there are a few moments I actually cared for these characters to get through. However, there were certain points where just like, well, I don't know how much I can be scared for you when you go in with a gun that has every fucking thing on it. I mean, it's like the Swiss Army knives of guns. That gun has every fucking thing. A flamethrower, a fucking launches fireworks. It has a grenade launcher. I mean, the gun just, it almost
It's
literally.
like a gun from a video game.
It's almost like it is. It
Well,
almost
it's
like
the gun from the comic book.
Yeah, the gun almost just gets up and just starts shooting itself.
Corey, on the one hand, I'm like, yes, that's an overly convenient plot device. On the other hand, I'm like, where do I get one?
Yeah.
I want one too.
Fuck yes.
No, that gun is the shit.
I want to go hunting. I don't want no trace left of a deer except maybe one or two hooves.
They need to change the name from the lawgiver to the shit.
Yeah.
The shit.
I do think that there's some characters that that's a throwaway character right there. The guy they finally did something with him. Wood Harris plays the henchman K, and they carry him around half the movie, and he's just pretty much weekend at Bernie's, man.
Right.
He's drinking him around. He's like, oh, where am I? He's just like a black rag doll for half the movie. When he finally came in and started acting, I was thinking, all right, finally you did something with this character. But for the most part, I was like, why don't y'all just put him in a locker somewhere and come pick him up later, because y'all ain't doing shit with him. Leon, I hate to ask this, but I know you got some more complaints.
Sure.
Go for it.
Sure. I have complaints like the way that Judge Anderson is the worst psychic ever. I'm like, you don't have a character who has this power, and then all these times when she should be using it, just don't. Like, she just forgot suddenly. Like, do you have this or you don't? Or like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I you know what? I agree with you, and I had that same thought. I think the only thing that kept that from being a huge problem for me is there's something to be said for taking into account the circumstances and the fact that she does have to concentrate to make it work. And I feel like if you have enough stimuli around for her to focus on, and it could dilute it a little bit. But I absolutely know what you're talking about, because I think it was the exact same scene. I had that thought where it's like, really? You didn't see that coming? You're supposed to be psychic, but...
Well, yeah. Well, even when it comes like checking corners, it's like, hey, do you sense anybody out there? But never any of that.
Well, I would imagine you'd have to know that somebody is possibly there.
And see, I thought that too, but then there's a point where she does use that. She uses that power at one point. So I'm like, okay, so you can do it. I don't understand why it's not happening all the time.
Look, she's not Dionne Warwick, okay? She's got some problems.
Yeah, she's not Miss Cleo.
Yeah, Miss Cleo.
There's someone around the corner, child.
Yeah. Can we get that in the sequel? Miss Cleo? Judge Cleo running around.
My problem, like I never felt like Carl Urban is wooden, and that's why we're not getting personality out of Dredd. It's not that. He did fine. It's just that what was written for them to say. It's like, you can have a character who's stoic, and yet the things he says can reveal things about himself, or he can be funny. And Judge Anderson could not be quite so weak, or I could just get a feel for these characters. There's so much shooting that goes on in the first hour, and yet I felt nothing for anybody who got hit with any bullet at all.
Did you feel that Judge Dredd was too much of a fucking, like, just hard ass?
No, actually, I felt like he wasn't enough. And I had a problem with that, too. I was like, you know what? They're trying to make him a little bit too much of a regular guy, because my experience with Judge Dredd from the comics, and especially like the audio dramas I listened to recently, which I thought, well, maybe they're a little over the top. I was like, no, you know what? They actually capture a lot of the dark humor that goes into this and the personality of Dredd, where he is that uber fascist, where you go like, man, that guy's a dick. And in this, watching it objectively, I'm like, the only reason I think he's a dick because I read him that way in the comics. But watching him here, he just seems like a tough lawman, but not somebody who steps over the line, who not anybody who's even overly zealous. He seemed like a guy who'd like look at Batman and go like, hey, dude, why don't you chill a little bit?
I get what you're talking about. And I think through the years, reading Judge Dredd and Pat Mills' version of Judge Dredd isn't as insane as you'd think Garth Ennis' version of the characters.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't know if they looked at that and said, let's make Judge Dredd not so much a crazy over the top like Ed 209 character.
Right.
We got to have the audience get familiar with this guy and maybe show a little bit of humanity.
I think there is like subtler humor in the fact that he's so single-minded and so unflappable. Like no matter what's going on around him, he's got one facial expression, but when he's so determined that when he says something like, now we're going to go dispense justice, you do get that like, oh shit, like we know he's going to do, like,
no,
he's not bullshitting.
He is, but
people going to die.
Yeah, but
I know I was supposed to feel that at that moment, and yet I found that I didn't. I honestly didn't. I didn't feel any tension at all. I mean, maybe it was because of the gun, or maybe I'm like, well, they seem to be it's easy for them to dispatch all these kind of faceless or nameless bad guys, and yet this is just kind of playing it by numbers.
Did you feel any chemistry between him and Anderson?
I did feel that. There was chemistry. The thing is, I didn't hate the movie. The look of Mega City 1 was like dead on. And the costumes, wow.
Yeah.
They really nailed it. It had that look and feel, which is why I was surprised. I was sitting there going like, dang, I really wish I was getting into this. I mean, there's 3 or 4 moments that I found impressive, but they were moments. It's like, oh, that was a good kill. Oh, that was cool. Oh, I didn't see that coming. But the rest of it was just so like, yeah. The thing with the raid was it really kept moving.
This movie's going to get a lot of shit because of the raid. And I didn't want to judge the movie on that. I mean, I'm like, this is Judge Dredd. This is not the raid. I don't want to see fucking Judge Dredd in there doing fucking karate and backflips and shit. I mean, I really got into it. So much so that it made me, at the end of the movie, it made me like excited to see a sequel. Which with a movie like this,
City 2.
Just because you understand there's so much to play with in that world that they're just barely, they're
just
barely
scratch
opening
the
the
surface
door.
with it.
Yeah.
I mean, they got it. This is a world with mutants that we can see. The only mutant we saw here was a fine ass girl with with psychic powers. That ain't a mutant.
I think her bangs were the mutation.
Yeah. That's what you call gifted and fine. Even beautiful. I mean, I want to see like the mutants with the with like the noses on their heads and stuff like
Which
that.
the cursed earth is there. They let you know that.
If they make that. But you know what? Look, we gone long enough.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say this. I'm not looking at it that fucking deep. I'm just saying that this a movie that works where it wants to work in the action area. Do they do it well? Yeah, I think they do. And again, I think that they know what their goal was, and that's exactly what they did. They wanted to entertain with the most bombastic, violent action that they could, and I think they went above and beyond that. And I was entertained by it. I thought it moved very well. Just again, I don't mind a movie like this where I feel like if I can watch this over and over again and have fun, then you've done it. You've done it for me, and I had huge amounts of fun with this. I give it a full price. It doesn't need to be deep to earn that rating.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't feel like I'm looking into this deep. It's just it's one of those popcorn movies that you see with a bunch of action. I mean, if they could have troned it up a little bit, I might even liked it better. I just feel like this movie benefits from having a really shitty predecessor and drawing from a great wealth of comics, so people who watch the movie can go like, oh, she reminds me of those comics that I love so much. And yeah, it captures the look, the costumes, the sets, no doubt about it. But the story itself, I was just like, I'm just not impressed by any of it. I want to be, but I just feel like I'm not watching anything I haven't seen before, and that's kind of what I need to make me excited about this. As it is, it's got its 4 or 5 moments that were like, that was impressive, and yet, in all honesty, I'm sitting here, I can't even remember what most of them are. I can remember maybe 2 of those moments, and just a lot of places where I was like, you know what? If somebody could have come back in, a script doctor, and punched this up, it could have made me forgive everything. And yeah, it's like, it's not its fault that the raid came out first, but that happened. There's no putting the genie back in the bottle. It's just there. Like, for me, it was like, all right, I made it through it. I didn't hate it, but I just don't have a desire to see it again. I would give it a high rental. And also, it does something at the end where I'm like, I don't think you understand the way that technology works. It was like, nah, that doesn't even make.
Okay, now this is where all of us are like, what the?
No,
Well, I can't say what it is.
No, I think I know what you're talking about. And actually, I will say this. Judge, kind of on its own criteria and for what it is, I actually liked it. I thought it worked. And that's the whole thing is like, it's not just about like, oh, well, what do you expect? It's this or that. It's you judge it by its own criteria. Once you know what it is, it's like, okay, do they do that well? And my contention is that they do that very well. And I have a lot of respect for Carl Urban and the fact that he told the studio, like, look, I won't do this movie unless he can keep the helmet on. He's that passionate about the character, and that's completely counterintuitive to movie star mentality, where it's like, my face has to be out there front and center. I will say, I think the slow-mo was a little bit distracting, and I think that some of the pacing problems are symptomatic of that slow motion. But other than that, it was just kind of a big, garish, violent sci-fi romp that actually does a lot of things artfully well as just kind of sinfully well. And I don't know, I think I would give this a full price.
I fucking loved it. I'm sorry. I mean, and
I'm with you there, man.
Because the fact is, you're right, Corey. I mean, it is fun. It is fun. I mean, I had a really good time, and it's one of those movies where I'm scared because when I saw that Stallone version of Dredd, all I thought was like, well, fuck, there goes Judge Dredd. Nobody's ever going to hear about this character ever again, at least the mainstream audience. So that's too fucking bad. And with this, I mean, I'm really hoping, just as far as like action fans, that they'll give this movie a chance and they'll see it and they'll find a character in there that they can go, wow, that is a guy I want to root for. That's a guy. I mean, just his presence alone. Carl Urban did such a great job with just his mannerisms, the way he acted. Yeah, you're right, where his chin is doing all the work, and it works. I mean, you really. I gave a shit about the guy, and with him playing off Anderson, I love that chemistry between those two. Anderson is the most human person in this movie, and it really works well because you realize that Judge Dredd is looking at all these people as that they're just meat, And
the movie, can I say something real quick? Before Tell me what you think about this. The movie. It's not trying to be deep at all.
No, it's not.
But there are moments where they do question things that in this world where you begin through this character of Anderson. Yeah, she does something where she's thinking, maybe this whole system's wrong. Maybe being judges.
Well, that's like any dystopian story where it's like there's that one character who finally goes, wait, is this right? Like at 1984, there's a character who goes, wait, should we be altering history? And I mean, if you go down the line with dystopian fiction, it's the same way. You have one character who finally goes, but
it wasn't a heavy-handed message.
No, it wasn't heavy-handed, but that's always going to be there.
But thank you for proving my point, Brian.
Which is what?
that this story, I've seen it 100 times.
Oh,
before.
okay.
But you know what? It's characters that worked great, and the fact that they brought that to a Judge Dredd movie, good. I like that. I mean, it made those humans human in a way, and and I have to admit,
more human than human.
More human than human. But I mean, the action. The brutality of it, the slow. I mean, I enjoyed the slow mo. I mean, there's probably like there are some scenes in there where the slow mo I thought worked great, just to emphasize the action. When you see meat, when you see people turn into meat. I mean,
when they're sirloin by the end of that scene,
when you see these
people
bullets,
start to look like a Play-Doh fun factory.
When this shit starts to look like you're at the butcher shop, you're like, oh damn! And watching that in slow mo, I was like, okay, this. If you're ever going to use slow mo, use it for this. Use it showing bullets piercing through bad guys, letting the world know that there are consequences.
And you know what? I've never seen anything like that.
I haven't either, and that's what really just blew my mind. But other than that, it's a fun, solid movie. If you're a fan of Dredd, I think you're really going to enjoy it.
You've seen RoboCop, right?
Okay.
What do you give this?
I'm going to give it full price.
Okay, because you know what, you keep, I got to ask you, and I'm not, all the joking around and shit aside, because I was just messing with you earlier, but the whole review, I said, I shouldn't say it because I don't want to make the review longer, but I don't understand you, man. I mean, you confuse me the most out of anybody.
Yeah, you're confusing me.
I thought Carlisle used to confuse me, but you make my ass, my steam comes out my ears before when we get through some of these
so
reviews.
many movies that was like, man, that movie was so fun, and you're like, yeah, but the script was bad.
But
Come on, y'all.
let me tell you something though. You just came out last week talking about Resident Evil, where you said, "Man, this is dumb. This is, I don't care because the action is just cool. It was just a fun movie to watch, and it moved really fast." You don't think that this does the same thing?
You know why I don't think it does the same thing? Because when I was watching Resident Evil, what made it fun to me was like there was just so much shit in there. I was like, what the hell am I watching? And wow, I can't believe somebody stuck something like this in one of these movies. And I was entertained on that level of like, it was carving new grooves in my brain. Which is like, what the hell?
Just
All
by
right,
being as bad as it is?
But just by doing weird shit. Where this was just, it just felt very paint by numbers to me.
And Resident Evil didn't.
Isn't that what I just explained?
Hey, Brian, you want to go get a beer?
Yeah. I don't understand. Hey,
You know what? I understand because it's like it's one thing to appreciate and have fun with a glorious failure, as opposed to something that's mostly good but you have problems with, and I can see how that could detract.
I'm not giving you shit because I understand where you're coming from. That's because it's our own goddamn opinion.
Listen.
So Corey, what's your verdict?
Yeah. You know what my verdict is? If you live in Mega City 1, just
move.
Just move, and if you don't move, obey the law.
Yeah.
Obey the law, because if you don't obey the law, you're gonna die in the worst way.
Don't litter, don't jaywalk. That's your ass.
There's never there's never like a scratch or a cut. You lose a limb or your head explodes or something.
You know what you need to do? You need to just become the fucking law. Just join their fucking police force.
Yeah, exactly.
If you can't beat them, join them.
Go hang out at the Hall of Justice, which I'm sorry, where was Superman in one? How you gonna call it the Hall of Justice and Aquaman's not even
I was
walking
expecting
around?
them, because they do have a Hall of Justice in this. And I was expecting them to say, meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
Meanwhile, in Carl Urban's chin.
Negotiations over. The sentence is death.